Like I've got the like yeah on your website you've got the breakdown of all the different things for the different days and everything. 12 components of self-care, 22 virtues and stuff. Do you want to just touch on maybe one or two things just to give people, put their toe in the water and just kind of understand a little bit of what would be covered?
Sure. Okay. So the first thing to say is that the first day is about reclaiming sovereignty, and the second day is about embodying that in life. So it's like two phases to it. So in the first day, what were those two things you mentioned there? I might pick one of those.
There was the 12 components of self-care.
Yes, 12 components of self-care. So that's actually from and adapted from a wonderful book by Barbara Brennan called Hands of Light. She's a very powerful, well-known energy teacher in the US. And these 12 components of self-care, one of them is exercise. One of them is rest. One of them is supportive relationships. There are 12 different elements, if you like. Now, most people, when they look at that grid, first thing they do is they go, oh, I'm not doing enough of this, right? But then at second glance, you can look at that and go, actually, there are some things on there that you are doing really well. What are they? There are some things on there that you'd never even thought of as being self-care, that you just didn't really think of, that you need to really think about. There are some things on there that you've tried to do, but you've had difficulty, let's say. So when somebody looks at that, it enables them to see where they are supporting themselves and supporting their sovereignty and where they're not in that regard. So what that means is they can easily see the things. The first thing is that they can congratulate themselves for the things they're already doing well. And people don't tend to congratulate themselves for these things. Now that's very, very, very important, because the things they're doing well are the things that they're going to use to help them do the other things better, which is the opposite perspective from find out what you're not doing well, berate yourself for that, and then try and fix yourself. And that's just depressing. So we do it the opposite way around. We say, oh, so you are doing, I think there's one on there about personal hygiene and self-care and pampering, that sort of thing. So there might be somebody we say, you do that fantastically. You just look at these products you've got in your bathroom, you have a long bath, you use makeup that doesn't react with your skin, you use mineral shampoo, you're doing all of this. That's self-care. That's really strong. That's really helping you. Okay. Keep doing that. Really enjoy doing that when you're doing it. And then you feel even better about yourself when you tackle some of these other things over here. You see what I mean? And that's just one thing. And those things that are on the website, we don't necessarily work with all of them on the workshop, but they're all in the workbook. And the workbook for Freedom of Spirit is like that thick. So when people take it home, there's a whole back section of stuff they can do on their own. And there's stuff within the thing that they can do on their own. If we didn't do it in the workshop, they can do it on their own. So actually that workbook is designed so somebody could work it for a year if they wanted to, by taking all the different elements. There are exercises and processes and structures in there that they can actually do on their own, or that they can do with someone else who's done the workshop.
Yeah.
Like health warning thing. Don't do this with someone who hasn't done the workshop, but you can do it with someone who's done the workshop.
Because what most people do when they're creating something like that, they'll have one level and then you do the next level. And then from what you're saying with that book, they'd make about, you have to do 20 different workshops to get through the whole thing. But the fact that you're kind of teaching them and then allowing them. Plus, I suppose, you mentioned at the start about kind of like the carefree parents, which is fantastic to have that upbringing. I think most people kind of, oh, I wish I had that. But you've got different personalities and different belief systems coming into a group. And I think a group setting is perfect for that, because most of these people surround themselves with similar people, so they get the same kind of reassurance of what they believe in. But when they come into this, like, they're learning something new, but they're also all different personalities, which in turn I think allows them to accept it better than if it wasn't done like that.
Completely. And it also means they're able to emotionally support each other. So there's quite a lot of pairs work where you're with a partner and one partner is doing, you're doing an exercise together, and the exercise could be quite challenging to do, but because you're doing it together, you're supporting each other. And then the next one, you do it with someone different. The next one, you do it with someone different. By the end of it, there's this feeling of love, really, that everyone is giving and receiving love in the experience, which is one of the secret ingredients of freedom of spirit. People think freedom of spirit is about being an individual and not caring about anybody else. It's not. True freedom of spirit is about individuality and relationship and community and universal love. It's about all those things. And you're quite right. In a group, you can actually build that and actually feel that in the room. And that feeling stays in the body. And actually, one thing that people get on the second afternoon, we do a lot of very strong meditations on this workshop, as well as the movement work and other things that we do. One of the meditations on the second day is about finding unique anchors and activators. Each person goes within and finds unique anchors and activators that they take with them. They write them down and catch them, and they can use those afterwards to rekindle the experience that they had on the workshop of freedom of spirit. So they can literally reactivate themselves if they're feeling trapped or bored or dull or they've lost it, which can happen to any of us. They can get it back by activating these anchors and activators, which each person has their own unique version of that.
Incredible. So I know I'll have to get you back and go even deeper because there's so much different things to touch on this. What I would like to, because I was looking at where you have the location. It's actually near enough to, it looked on the map, near enough to Birmingham, because sometimes people might say, oh, Wales, and where would I